Good evening. This is LuncLiveNews with yours truly, Mr. Diamond Hands. And we're back. Let's have a glance at this week's headlines first. Proposal 11462 for Q2 funding for the Joint L1 Task Force passed with a 55% voting in favor to fund the Joint L1 Task Force for Q2 with a total of $124,800. It's interesting to see this proposal's voting distribution, as it could have gone either way. Congrats to the L1 team, and I hope they follow through with their proposal and get us to parity. In other news, Terra Rebels Proposal 11481 for running costs and technical support of Rebel Station infrastructure for 3 months has now passed. This is the second proposal for this matter, with the first proposal, 11459, failing. This proposal is asking for $37,593 to pay for their own infrastructure. LuncLive co-founder Matt's market proposal for enhancing community funding by changing the anti-handler tax from 90-10 to 50-50 is currently up for vote on Terra Station. This proposal is requesting the change so that 50% of the 0.2 tax currently standing will be sent to the community pool for L1 and L2 development. That's it for the headlines today. It's now time for the Diamond Seat after a short commercial break. Stay tuned. And we're back in the studio today with our special guest, Asobs. Man, this whole thing with the TerraPort situation, it seems to me like it's an absolute mess. There's two conflicting stories on it, and me and Ricardo here, we were talking about it, and it just baffles me. I don't understand, and I know I was in a space with you not too long ago, and I thought, well, I'm going to bring on Asobs because it sounds like, you've done your homework on it. And you know me, man, people that follow me, I don't put up with any garbage. I'm here to be a part of legitimate things. And so I'm trying to get to the bottom of things myself where we can shed light on it and bring it to the people's attention. So I wanted to holler at you and kind of get your thoughts on it, what you've uncovered, what you believe is going on with it. Do you think it's an inside job? Do you think it's an outside job? How are you feeling with it?
Gotcha. Yeah, well, I definitely appreciate you inviting me over. I just put in a link in the chat if you want to check that out. I showed it off in a video the other day, but it's some of the highlighted key point evidence, in my opinion, that was collected between myself and a couple other people as to what's going on with the whole TerraPort thing, because it is a mess and there's conflicting stories and some of the stuff is hard to read. Like some developers were looking into some of the blockchain code, but the way that it's presented isn't simple for people to view on just like the Finder application or anything like that. So it's confusing for the average person, but there is some information that the average person can view and can hopefully understand as to what's going on there.
And see, the thing that I'm kind of having a problem with is that people are saying that. They're saying it's in the code. It's in the code. It seems like this mechanism was created back in January. And I saw that on social media. And then I saw something that also piqued my interest, is that something happened with the code. Do you know what they're talking about, where somebody said something with the original code was changed? Does that kind of ring a bell, or am I going anywhere with that, or am I totally wrong?
So it is a confusing thing because the way that it's displayed is not something that's easy to read. And honestly, it was like confusing the heck out of me when I was looking at it. And I was kind of like, what is going on here? This doesn't make any sense. So it does sound like basically there was a wallet. To make it as simple as possible, from what I'm understanding, and I can only verify to a certain extent this, but there is a wallet that supposedly created some of these LP pools originally. And in some of those original tests of the LP pools, there was code embedded in that allowed for this hack to happen. That's
Mhm.
something like, as to what the code actually says is hard to verify. We can see on the blockchain them messing with LP pools and testing stuff before things went live. That's something we can verify.
Mhm.
And then something I was able to verify connected with that is that like one of those dev wallets, or I'm going to call them dev wallets because they were testing the LP pools and stuff beforehand. So I think it's fair to assume that it's a dev wallet. But one of those dev wallets ended up sending funds before the hack to two different wallets that did the draining of LP pools. So it's like there is connections there.
Yeah, it would seem like it. I mean, I think what really baffles me too is that, you know, look, I appreciate everything Terra C Vita has done, getting it with all nodes and taking over the servers and, keeping Terra Station going. I mean, I love that. But there's just something with this situation that is still just setting off my spider senses. So if it is in fact a dev wallet, okay, that means to me, just by looking at it from an outside source, and keep in mind, I'm prior law enforcement, right? I've been around the block. I've went after people that stole large amounts of money. I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? And it would seem to me that if random people can trace this back to a dev wallet, then there should be no issues for the absolute team to know whose that is. It just seems very, very interesting to me. I mean, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I think it's definitely an interesting scenario. One of my first big experiences with a crypto hack was about this time last year, actually. It was the Ronin network, which was, I think, a $550 million hack. It was a significant hack. I think it's the second largest crypto hack ever. And that scenario was a blockchain gaming space, and their network, the bridge basically got hacked for all the ETH value and all the other value on the network. And something that was interesting there, was that they actually sent funds to exchange, but it turned out that the FBI investigating was North Korea, and it was like 10% of the funds, and they did that to throw people off their trail, basically, and then they tornado cashed the rest of it, pretty much. So yeah, they did get rid of a large chunk of it, like you're saying. Like they don't just send a huge amount because yeah, it is like 60%, right, that they've recovered through exchanges. Normally that doesn't happen.
Right. And it's just very, very fishy to me because, I mean, usually they're very, I don't know. It seems like this hacker's not the brightest one of the bunch. It's not really like been thought out, or I don't know. I mean, I follow the hacks myself, and kind of like what you just said there. Usually they'll send small amounts and they'll hide their trail, or they'll send them to wallets and let them sit for years and years and years in hopes that people forget about it. That's what they'll do, right? If we want to start making our chart go up, we have to make it go up ourselves. And what I mean by that is we have to start bringing on utilities, bringing on DApps, reaching parity again, getting a team in place that are rock stars, that the community backs fully, that nobody says, hey, I'm staying, I'm going, I'm staying, I'm going. You know what I mean? It just seems like we just are lacking just a small piece to take us to that next level. What do you think?
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Like, definitely for a while there was a lot of, and myself too included in this, Moon Boy stuff going on. Like, we're gonna burn 99% in a couple months, or we're gonna pump like crazy in 100x, and all that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of us have definitely, come back down to earth in a sense, and reality kicked in, and we're like, okay, let's aim for maybe a 10x in the next 2 years or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not next week. It's a lot more like, what's the plan that we could get to that 10x, instead of just talking about let's get the 10x. It's the, how many utilities do we need? How much General Classic do we have to burn on a daily basis? Like a little bit more concrete, which I think is definitely an improvement for the community. And I know it can be discouraging to some people. I see comments like that a lot, like, oh, well, at the current rate we're burning, it'll take 78 years for us to burn 90% of the supply, or whatever it is. And it's like, yes, at the current rate, but I think laying out the plan of, here's how we can 10x that rate of burn, and it's still not going to burn 90% of the total supply in a year, but we could get to that kind of like objectives of larger burns happening over the course of a couple years, maybe 5 to 10 year range, and have a little bit more realistic time frame, and have a plan as to how we could actually accomplish some of that stuff.
As far as your opinion with this whole TerraPort thing, uh, have you heard? Are they going to do a V2? Is it going to be kind of a we'll let you know kind of deal? I mean, what information have you heard just in the last 24 hours on it?
As far as plans going forward, I don't think there's really been anything released publicly, unfortunately. And yeah, I mean, there's definitely possibilities, right, as to what they could do, but I don't think there is any solid plan to my knowledge as to what they plan on doing. Because the big problem, obviously, is let's say that they do recover some of the funds. Like right now, 60% roughly is locked up or covered, or however you want to phrase it. Let's say they do get access to that again. But the process probably that's going to take some time to actually get there. You have to go through a process to accomplish that. And maybe it's somewhat fast, maybe it's longer, maybe they have to go through an extensive legal process, maybe they can make it happen quicker. That's a little bit unknown. And hopefully, if it is someone that they know who it is, they can expedite that process because they don't have to spend the time trying to figure out who the heck the hacker even was. So hopefully they have some information that can help make that process go faster. But even with that, you would either have to get all of it returned because the hacker took TerraPort tokens too, not just the liquidity pool value, or you'd have to do something else creative. But I don't see it going well regardless. Like it's just such a mess, and there's so many levels of issues. Even if they tried to relaunch the entire thing, then okay, you relaunch, give everybody TerraPort tokens back or version 2 TerraPort tokens. Well, now you have, the 15, what is it, 15 billion lunk that's gone. So how are you going to fund the liquidity pools? Where are you going to get that value from? Like there's millions of dollars lost. It's going to be a mess.
Terra Vita could be innocent. Okay, they could just have had a malicious death who they may or may not have had a good relationship with, or maybe didn't know everything about. Maybe they didn't go all in and say, "Hey, who are you? What's your first and last name? Let's have a Zoom call to see your face." Who are you know? Maybe they were like, "Oh, it's anonymous. I'm gonna remain anonymous, right?"
Yeah,
And maybe that's what they did. Sorry, I got a alarm going off there.
no worries.
But let's just say that happened. Okay, they're gonna have to man up to that, and they're gonna have to address the community to be transparent, right? To show people we do have your best interests at heart. Even if it's bad, even if it makes them look horrible, it's just about addressing the people and having the gumption to say, look, we had somebody on our team. We thought they were trustworthy. We saw no issue there. We had no red flags whatsoever, no hiccups, nothing. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this occurred. And I think sometimes that happens in crypto. I really think it does. I've seen it happen to teams that I've been invested in their projects with, right? And I'm telling you from personal experience, if you just own up to it and you man up to it and you tell people that and to tell them the truth, it's a whole lot better for them than just
Yep.
trying to, omit, cover up, ignore, bounce around, dance around. It ends up being not good, right? What's your take on that? Do you think if something like that did occur, with Terra Vita and the TerraPort team there, do you think it's best just to just come clean, rip the Band-Aid off, have an AMA, tell us, from start to finish what went down? You think that'd probably be the best medicine for us?
Yeah, I think most likely what happened is it was maybe one or two bad actors, and I think the majority of the team didn't know what was happening and was not involved. And then I think the question comes down to, okay, how do we move forward from that point? Kind of like you're saying. And I think the best way to do that is for Rexies or some of the other leaders in that team to come forward and go, hey, maybe we didn't do our proper due diligence on this dev. Maybe something got overlooked. Maybe this was a freak accident, and then have a plan for how it's going to be avoided in the future and just try and be as transparent as possible going forward. I think that's going to make a tremendous difference as far as their potential to actually have a recovery out of this. Because, yeah, I don't think the whole team was involved. I don't think the majority of the team was involved. I think, if anything, it was a couple bad actors. And then I think we just need that transparency and clarity of how did it happen and how are we going to avoid it in the future and make sure that we don't repeat that scenario.
Why was the community of TerraPort Finance told that an audit was going to be conducted in just a few days? If my mind serves me correctly on the tweet. Where's that
Yeah,
audit? Who did
Yeah.
it? You know,
Yeah.
what did they find? If there was no audit, why did you not bring that to your community's attention? Because that must be discussed. That is an issue, and that is a problem. And kind of like what you said before, how do you get past it? How do you move on? Look, I'll be truthfully honest with you. Uh, there may not be a future for TerraPort. Terra Vita may not get that opportunity again. I have seen firsthand. You get one shot at trust with people in crypto as a developer. I hate to say that, but it's the truth. They give you one time, and it's like, okay, guys, let's do this. We're putting our trust in you. I think people are seeing that too and I hate to say it, with TR, with Terra Rebels. The community trusted them with that one proposal for 150,000. And there were things that were discussed, and, some funds were not handled a certain way that the community thought they would be done. Moderators received a very hefty compensation. But there you have it, right? That just goes to show you that you get one chance. Now, I don't know. I think people may come back around. Time will tell. Sometimes you have to have time on your side. But I think that we also need to be looking at, if it's not going to be Terra Vita doing a DEX, if TerraPort indeed died on that hack, who else is going to do it? Are we going to have a community DEX? Are we going to have a community wallet? Right?
Yeah. I
I
think
mean,
that's,
yeah.
yeah, I think that's a good point, right? It's like, and I'll just say this to wrap it up because I do got to run to talk with Jerry on a podcast thing. But I think it's a good point bringing up Terra Rebels because you have differences between the scenarios. Obviously, Terra Rebels is about 150,000. This is about 2 million. So obviously, in magnitude of dollars, this one's worse. But also, the Terra Rebels one seems like it was more intentional across the board, whereas maybe this was an accident. So there might be a chance for redemption for TerraPort, but they're definitely going to have to make sure that they get things straight away, and it's going to have to be very much so by the book, as clear as possible. There really can't, in my opinion, be any hiccups for the next month or so if they want to have a redemption here.
I agree. And, of course, I'm rooting for everybody. I'm rooting for our community, and I think that our future is bright. It's just going to take a lot of patience and some time to make sure that everybody has their ducks in a row and that everybody is squared away. So hopefully we'll find out very, very soon. But Asobs, thank you so much, man, for coming on with us today and speaking about this issue. I really appreciate it. I'll go ahead and let you go. I know that you got some other things you got to take care of. And yeah, I'd love to have you back on in the future. We're going to be doing this with other people in our community that have followings. And I really enjoyed our time today. And thank you so much, man, for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I'd love to come back if you'd ever have me. So thanks for having me. And yeah, we'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you very much, my friend. Appreciate it.
And that's all for today, folks. We welcome you to join us every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 midnight UTC, from us at LuncLiveNews Studio. We wish you all a happy evening and a great start to your weekend. And remember, stay classic.